Nice to see you.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
Oh my God, I know I feel horrible being here because I'm sick and I shouldn't be, but I never want to leave anyone hanging. So I try if I can get out of bed, I make it.
Oh,
but
that's
I'm not
very
hugging
admirable.
y'all today because I don't want to like get you sick. Congrats on the memoir.
Thank you.
Yes, it's genius.
Thank you.
The audio only.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna get to the fact that it's audio only because I think that's really genius.
Oh, thank you.
But why now? Why did you want to do it now?
You know, I've been doing Billy on the Street for so long. I've done a lot of fun movies and TV shows, but I have this persona. It's very loud. It's very chaotic. People love it, and I'm very grateful for it, and it's still all over social media.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful, but it's not the real me, you know? And it's something I created, and I thought it was a good time to let people in on who I really am, tell them my story, tell them how the show got started and how I created that character.
Yeah, I think it is funny to find out that you are actually more shy, right, in real life?
Yeah, I'm more shy. Well, I'm just kind of more normal. I mean, how could you be? How could you not be? I mean, I'm insane on that show, and I think people love the insanity of it. But you know, I'm a middle-aged man now, and I think you get to the point where you're just like, I want people to know that I'm a normal human being, and I had these amazing parents and a great childhood growing up in New York. But it always surprises me how much people think it's really me. And my friends, like if people know they know me in real life, they always tell me, like everyone always asks us, is that how he really is?
Yeah.
And I keep thinking, could you imagine if I was really like that? And I'm constantly shouting at people and storming off from them if they don't agree with me, you know. But so I'm excited for people to get this opportunity to get to know me.
Oh my God, me too. It's brilliant too, the audio only. But when did you come up with Billy on the Street? Like, since you're not this guy, like, where did this character come from?
A long time ago. Me and my best friend, Robin Taylor, who's also an actor, we were roommates. We went to Northwestern. We were theater majors. I was a theater kid. I loved Broadway. I grew up in New York City. That was my track that I was on. But I couldn't get an agent. I couldn't get anything. So I started to write comedy for myself in New York. And I was doing a live show on stage, and I came up with this character that over the course of the night was getting increasingly angry about pop culture, you know, and was bringing this ridiculous amount of urgency to it all. And so people really loved it. When I was on stage, they loved it. And I said to a friend of mine, what if we took this character out on the street and I got into people's faces and made them talk to me about, you know, the Oscars? Or something like that. And then we started making these videos. But the first time we showed it, it was for a screen that was in this little cabaret space in the basement of a synagogue in New York that we were performing in.
That is not where I thought it would have been.
No, I know. It's very surprising.
Amazing.
YouTube wasn't even around yet. We just projected it onto a screen, and the audience loved it. And that's what my book is about. Because leading up to that TV show and to Billy on the Street taking off, I did it for 11 years before anyone cared. You know, and it's about that, like the ups and downs and the close calls. And I hope young artists, young creative people listen to the book and hear what that journey is really like. It was not easy. It took forever. You know, I'm very grateful where it ended up, but it was hard. And again, the book takes you through all of that. And I think I hope people think it's interesting.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about it is you're brilliant, man. The audio, I love that you just did the audio thing.
Yes. Well, my fans can't read. Let's be honest. You know, let's spade a spade, Kelly.
You're stupid.
No. They can read. I love my fans.
No.
They're very well educated.
So funny. But this is why it's brilliant for people like you to do a memoir like this, because there's so much of you that is your voice, your character, your being, and it is all in your voice. So it would be weird to just read it, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it would be the same. And they really wanted me to release it in print. And I'll be honest, you get paid a lot more if it gets released in print. And I thought about it because it would be cool to have a physical book.
Like tangible,
I wrote it to be listened to. I wanted to give people that audio experience. I've never done a podcast. I've never done anything like that. And you get to hear some of the Billy on the Street voice, but then you hear me tell these very sweet stories about my parents and my childhood and my real voice. And I didn't want people to mistakenly hear all of that in my shouting Billy on the Street voice. You know? So I think you're getting a little bit of both, and you could only get it by listening to it.
That's really cool. This new audio-only memoir is appropriately titled Billy on Billy, an audio memoir. You're on a book tour right now. So other than no books, what can people expect?
We're gonna be shouting at each other live in person. Everyone come see me on my book tour. June 3rd in San Francisco, June 4th in LA, June 12th in Chicago, June 14th in Washington, D.C.
Nice! I never remember that.
I remember. You can go on my Instagram or whatever, link in bio, I don't know.
Yeah. I love you so much. Okay, so you say your parents loved theater. So what was kind of the first show they took you to that impacted you?
I begged them when I was 10 years old to take me to see a show called Starlight Express. That's me and my parents.
You're so beautiful, your family.
And they both passed away. They did not see my success happen for me, but they were so supportive when I was a kid. They loved that I loved Broadway. We bonded over Broadway as a family. My first show was Andrew Lloyd Webber's Starlight Express. Not one of his big hits, but I was obsessed with it. All the dancers were on roller skates, which was very high tech at the time, in 1988. And I pretty much...
people at Sonic did that where I'm from.
Exactly. Do you know who was in the ensemble of Starlight Express was Jane Krakowski?
Oh.
Yes, it was one of her first big Broadway jobs.
Wow.
That's right. And she was in the chorus. And then...
Of course she can also do that. Okay.
Yeah, she's amazing. And then we were sitting in the front mezzanine, and they had the theater. They designed it so that during the bows, the dancers on roller skates could roller skate up to the front mezzanine. Right?
Yeah.
And so this dancer, I don't know who he was. I still think about him because he changed my life. This male, probably gay man on roller skates, roller skated up to me. I'm 10 years old, and he saw me sitting there probably like mesmerized.
Yeah.
And he bent down and he waved at me. Not like a generic wave, like he looked at me in the eyes and he waved. He must have seen like that I was having the greatest night of my life. And that man, whoever he is, he changed my life. Like that was it for me. Like I was on a Broadway track, and I sang a lot as a kid. I was a pretty good singer. Ended up going into comedy later, but singing in Broadway, that was like my first love.
Why did you end up doing it? Is it just because that's what happened on the road?
That's what took off.
Yeah.
I went to Northwestern. I was a theater major. I was a serious actor. I was doing musical theater. I would still love to do it.
Yeah.
But I started doing comedy. I created this character. It took off, and what was I going to do? Like, not do it?
Yeah.
You know, people loved it. But part of the book, too, is telling this story about how we all choose a role to play in life. You can play every role at all times, but part of the book is saying, like, I'm really a theater guy at heart, and I'm not this, like, shouting maniac all the time. And I started out as a serious artist, and I'm at a point in my life where I'm trying to, like, get back to me.
Yeah.
You know, get back to that person and play a different role. And I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in middle age, you're like, okay, I've done this and this, but there were other things I wanted to do, and is there time to still do them and become the person I wanted to be? And so that's what the story is.
Or the question, too, is like, are you going back to you, or are you going to who you've progressed to becoming? You know, who you're becoming, because maybe it would have been different had you have gone that route. Maybe you'd be a different performer or better.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's why you do have to just kind of let go sometimes and take the road that's the opportunity in front of you, you know?
Someone once said to me, follow the green lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Yellow Brick Road. That's what I heard.
Okay, I'm gay, but it's not all Wizard of Oz all the time, Kelly.
I love the Wizard of Oz. No, there's another story in the book about when you went to see Guys and Dolls, though. Tell everybody that. This is amazing how your parents handled it, but also how you handled it.
Yeah, my parents took me to see Guys and Dolls. It was Nathan Lane, and this very famous production of Guys and Dolls in 1992 was like all the rage in New York. And we got to the theater, and the woman playing Miss Adelaide, the lead role, who had just won the Tony, she was out that night. And I had a nervous breakdown as a 13, 14-year-old kid because I wanted to see the woman who won the Tony. Now, nowadays, I know we love our understudies.
Yes.
They're amazing, too.
Yes.
And we ended up staying and seeing the understudy, and she was incredible.
Yes.
Actually, the understudy ended up being an actress named Victoria Clark, who 20 years, 15 years later would win a Tony of her own.
Oh,
that's
see?
right.
You were there
So
before.
You never know. She's
you were
also
country
amazing.
before country was cool. There
Exactly.
you go. Yeah, you know
But
before.
in the lobby of the Martin Beck Theater in 1992, I almost fell apart. And my poor parents did not know what to do with their maniacal, show business obsessed child. But they always, and they said to me, my dad was like, what do you want to do? We can stay or we can go. And because they let you trade in the tickets if there was an understudy in those days to come back another night.
Oh, how sad for the understudy.
I know, that isn't right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe they still do that, I don't know.
Oh, no.
But I ended up like becoming so obsessed with Nathan Lane. And then years later, I end up doing the voice of Timon in The Lion King after he, of course, originated it. And it was just a crazy full circle thing.
Yeah, I love when life works out like that.
Yeah, me too.
You know you've chosen the right paths, the ones you're supposed to choose.
Yeah.
Billy Eichner, everybody, come on. The new memoir is